Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Box, the Technical Trader at TechTrader.com. It's Saturday morning, the 15th of April. This is the weekend webinar. Well, the markets are at a crossroads, in my opinion, because we've had some nice rebound, but we're at resistance. Although the push in the late last week is very promising, and you'll see in the NASDAQ General's individual chart patterns how they're supporting a move even higher. We'll see if that occurs because there is some resistance here. If you're looking at the S&P 500, you'll see since we bottomed in October with a big reversal bar, with a low down at 34.91. The rally took us up by early February to nearly 4,200. And then the pullback and the parallel bottom held across that zone, and we rallied back up. Looking closely, you'll see the rising channel that we've been in for about a month now, having gone from 38.08 to Friday's high at 41.40. So about 330 points up off the low. 8 or 9% run, something like that, just since then. Now, the way the channel looks, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 to 5th ways well underway, but could extend to retest the August high, 43.25. So my projections are around 43, 43.25. Beyond that, if we do get a breakout, we could get a blowout move to 45 or even 4,600. I wouldn't be looking for that just yet. Support near term is 4070 in that area, plus the 50-day at 4034. So 4070, 4034 going forward are what areas we're going to be watching. On the NDX, a little bit different, but we have had a big 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, a couple bottoms tested, a breakout, and then 3-wave corrective falling to the moving average that reversed hard off that day there. And we've come up and now we're flagging above resistance. Next target, 13.5 and 14.1. Near-term key support, about 12.8, 40.50. Beneath that, you have this. What looks like key support at price and moving average support at 12.5, 15.20. The transportation index and the small caps just don't look as good. They've come down harder and bounced in what looks like potentially a bear flag, but a break across the declining tops line, which is right at, could get you to a quick move into that 14.56 range for starters on the DJ20. Small cap index looks similar. After a nice 1, 2, 3 wave corrective rally, or a rally anyway, and a basing attempt, they came down hard and broke support. This is no longer valid. Take that out, what you see is a longer base pattern with key support about 167 and 163 in that zone. Key resistance now in the IWM. Watch this one next week. If we get up above 180, there about 179.75, it could trigger a rally in small caps, which could be really productive for the market. And the overall base pattern goes back a year nearly, or about, let's call it 10 months, still can support a pretty big move. Let's take a look at some of the components, and they're pretty bullish to me. These are the NASDAQ 100 generals. Apple has been in an uptrend since January, with a bottom to 124 and change. And recently, almost 167. It's a big move for Apple in a 1, 2, 3 wave, in a mini 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. I'm not sure if that's the end of this wave or not, but certainly overhead resistance 168.70 zone. When we get above that, we're looking at 176.7. Amazon promising as well. As you can see, a long downtrend. This one has not broken out, and it's been in a large, what looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4 big 5th wave down. Retest, form an inverse head and shoulders. Breakout with an island reversal, come down and retest, and then reverse again, break out and hold, form a platform that right now, and any move on Amazon over 104, 4.25 could trigger a move to 114 and 119.20. That would be huge for the market. Stay tuned, it might be a base, it may not be, but it certainly looks promising. If we count this here as a large 1, 2, 3, 4, then we may have one more wave down. I don't think that's the case. Microsoft, very nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, and now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up. And it's near resistance. But it's been consolidating nicely in this zone. So anytime a stock gets up to, or an index gets up near a resistance level, it consolidates. Should we break through, your next target is 314 on Microsoft. 28 points from here, that's 10% move. Of course, the short-term support, you don't want to see 281 2-zone violated. Facebook's been phenomenal. Look at this chart. From 88 to 222 since November. Pretty incredible move for that stock. It doesn't look done yet, does it? Target now 232 and 246.7. Netflix recovering, meaning Netflix was doing very well for a long time. It was even an NDX leader. It went from 173 or 68, whatever the low was, 162 and change, doubled to 330. The high, 380. How about 162 to 380? Well, so we had a nice intermediate pullback, which tested the trend line, bounced, and then broke out right there. Ran up to resistance and backed off, and that's been flagging for 2 weeks. So watch Netflix on a move through 350 could yield 375.80. Much longer term support target is 440.50. How about that? Netflix. NVDA, outstanding. Since its low in October, and the reversal day from 108 to 120, it has gone all the way up to 280. 108 to 280 since October. And a 1, 2, and a long 3. Not sure if that's consolidating. Well, it's definitely consolidating here, but is it enough to propel the stock higher? Well, the stronger a stock is, the less likely it is to have a deeper retrace. So this might be a rising flag type consolidation for the next level. Target is 310. And Tesla, certainly platforming. It's kind of weak. It's been weaker of late. I don't want to see Tesla under 176. I would keep a tight stop there. Secondary support all the way down here at 164. So 176 and 164. Resistance now Tesla is 192.5, and the target's 207 if we get through that. Now we'll look at some of the main, the underlying indicators. The McClellan oscillator, which had gone up to plus 185.6, came down to near flat, actually minus 20. Bounced sharply and pulled back again. Friday it dropped 45 points, pretty big drop for that index, as the technicals weren't great. Well, we'll see. My bottom line is it's still above support, which now is around minus 30. The percentage of stocks above their 40 right now is about 43%. So less than half the stocks are above their 40, not exactly wowing me from a technical standpoint, but we'll see what that means later on. The VIX also just hasn't done much. As a matter of fact, after fear rose sharply with the banking crisis in March, that thing got up to almost 31, it's back to 17. 17 being the lowest reading since, it's like a 52-week low reading. Right down there would be the low back in January. Well, 52-week low was 1706, and we closed 1707. How about that? So we're basically at 52-week low in the VIX. Now, it's not apathy yet, because when you get down near to, 8, 10, 12, that's where in single digits, that's where it becomes serious. A lot of stocks to go over it, and there's some bullish looking ones. Let's go over them. Start with AMPX. When I see a long-term downtrend, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, it breaks out, forms a bull wedge, it breaks out, forms another wedge and breaks out. And it's at resistance here. Any further upside near 9.5 could yield 11, 12 3/4. Keep an eye on this one. Intriguing pattern. As long as it maintains its angle, yeah, I can see 11. AUPH, detect rate of swing, acting great. I think it's a takeover last week. Every day up from the Monday low to 920 to the high at 1148. Key resistance 1175-ish. target's 13. SCLX finally broke out of that coil we showed you the week before last. And then last week, backed and filled before trying to pop. Friday, pulling back, but it is potentially powerful. It takes out this, what looks like the potential wedge for me. Maybe you got another week of it, but eventually it could be in a $20 stock. OCUP breaks out of a base here, pulls back and tests, and then works its way higher. Then worms its way into a 3-month tightening coil. I noted the breakout 2 weeks ago. It went from 3.5 eventually to 5 3/4, and it's pulled back a little bit off the top of the channel. What I'd like to see is a setup consolidation, and then a move to 6.5, 7. CBAY really done very well of late. After popping a year ago and forming a multi-month consolidation, there was a breakout at about 4.5 back in December. From 4.5, CBAY went to 10, more than doubling, and now it's consolidating, coiling. I got a target of 13.5 on this. PDSB, well, it was a stock I really liked back here in November, December, and it exploded right at the beginning of the year before coming down big time. And well, in an orderly fashion, 1365, they knocked it all the way down to 5 handle, 539. But now recovering back to 7. Keep an eye on it. It's at the 50. Anything above 8, and it's not going to be 10, 12, 14 again. Silver, gold, obviously having a good time of it. I like AG, but I like way better EXK because of the fact that it's taken out quadruple top, it's moved out of the base, it's moved and filled that gap on top of it. So the ideal scenario is back and fill, form some kind of flag in here, and then you're off to 5 3/4 and 7. EHTH, tech-traded swing when it broke out back in January, continuing to move up, hit my targets, now consolidating. Friday was a negative reversal day, but as long as it holds 7 1/4, I'm still good with it. However, I would prefer to see this immediately reverse and take out the 9 3/4 range, target then 12. GATO, this is a Mexican silver stock that broke out through a double top into a major gap. Potential gap fill would bring this one up to about 9 1/4. HIMS, inverse head and shoulders type pattern, breakout, rising channel. Notice how the 50 held. First the gap there, held, now a wedge. If we take out 1065, I'm looking for 12 and 15. AVDL in a biotech sector exploded, if you remember, a year ago. It went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then went into a consolidation. Well, of late, it's been moving again and pressing resistance. Nominal new high at 1039 on Thursday. We get to that, we're looking at 11.5 and 13. I asked EE, the tech trader swing popped out, pulled back a little bit. From 25.5, it went to almost 30, went at 88. That was a target. Next target is 34. ONON breaks out, pulls back in a 5-wave corrective pattern. There is a breakaway gap, and now a falling wedge. Friday it popped out and backed off. Resistance 33, 3 1/4. Targets at 36 and 40. SOUN. Well, after running up sharply in January, February, it came down sharply and did about a 0.618 fib retracement before bouncing and spiking. Take a look at the wedges forming around the moving averages. Needs to hold here. Easy stop on the 240. Any move over the double top near 330, and you're looking at 4.5, 5. EOSE. Coming off the low of the wedge, it exploded and wedged again, and popped and retested the trend line, and then exploded back up towards the channel top. And price resistance right up around 3 1/4, 3.5. We get through that, 5 is your target. TBIO coming out of a rounding base pattern or a V bottom. It's not a V bottom, it's more of a cup and handle. Breakout wedge forming. Take a look. Target 460. ENVX down channel broken. Moving averages crossed over. It broke out. It popped. It got to resistance at this gap here and backed off. Right now, I'm seeing another wedge forming with a target of 18 and 21. CERT, beautiful rising channel. After the bottoming in November near 10.5, it's more than doubled to 24.63, where there's some big resistance. Note though, it's been consolidating nicely in this level for 3 weeks. You break out above that, and 27 is your target. Seed obviously been in a downtrend and broke several layers of support, but the long, big support and the gap down here seems to be holding. The stock popped on Friday, but low volume. It needs volume. Disappointed in the short-term pattern, but we'll see what happens there. ZETA. 1 second. This is out of sequence. We'll move back to ALDX, which beautiful rising channel that's accelerating with a target of 13. ALGM, Allegro Microsystem breaks out of a base and does a 1, 2, 3. This is wave 4. Any move out of here, and we're looking at mid 50s, mid 60s. AMAM with an explosive move, falling wedge, breakaway gap above the moving averages, spike, fly, and then flag. It broke out Friday. Not a lot of volume, so I can't put a lot of credence on it, but I'm looking for a big move on this stock to get into the mid and high teens eventually. AMD Advanced Micro, big downtrend, breaks out of wedges, breaks out of wedges. Next target on a 1, 2, 3, 4 would be 115.20. AMPH, after a falling wedge and a long one, it's been moving nicely. Formed an ascending bull wedge and broke out. And Thursday had a big day, Friday an inside day. I'm looking for a test of the all-time high, 44, 44 and a half, and then 50. APLS, a fixed rate of swing, exploded on a breakaway move. Has been moving up ever since. Made another new high at 82 on Friday, finishing 80.95. Channel target 85 and 92. Apps, rising channel ever since we gave you when it broke here. You take trade a swing. It's moved up, but there's some big resistance there, and that's your first target at 13.5, then 16. ARLO breaks out of a base, forms the wedge, and pops. Friday, I've retested the breakout point, but my target remains 7 3/4. ASAN, long downtrend, breakout, retest. It's right on support. It needs to hold it. It looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth wave could be powerful and take you into the mid high 20s. Associates holdings, beautiful rising channel and now wedging. Targets of 7 and 8.5. ASUR software, really like the look of this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fifth wave starting. Eventual target 19. EHTH, beautiful rising channel, also wedging, and should it break out above 16.5, 19 is your target. In the gold sector, AU, one of my favorite gold right now, has had a dramatic move from 16.5 to 28. But it's at the top of the channel in a 1, 2, 3. So you may need to consolidate this zone here. In the South American airline sector, I really like the way they're starting to develop. Now, Azul came all the way down from the high 20s to, kid you not, 382. After exploding here, it's forming a nice flag above moving averages across the over. One of my favorite patterns, folks. In terms of long-term patterns, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and the bottom of the platform. So if this gets above 820, go long, targets are 11 and 14. BANL, CBL International, I don't know what's going on or why, but this stock is down. I had to show it to you. When the stock goes from 4.5 to 21 nearly in about 3 weeks, you know, pay attention. It may need to set up, but it may have momentum enough to go even higher. In the crazy AI sector, there's BBAI. Again, on Friday, one of the gainers that was up 16%. I just can't get behind these stocks. You can scalp them and day trade them, but I'm not going to even try to attempt to give you targets on a swing trade, other than to say that it could be 5 or 6, 6.5. BCLI, nice base breakout, and look at that wedge. Low volume ebb, good technicals. Measure move, 2 points, 440.50, right there. BFRG, one of the other AI holdings, big day on Friday, went from 506 to 821, finished 710 up on 50. Your guess is as good as mine. Target is 9. Bellerophon, breakaway gap, long 2-month down channel. Spike up breakout, rising channel, Little pennant, another one. Looks to me like 17 to 20 might be target zone. BMEA, big base breakout, breakaway gap, falling wedge. Wait for this one to pop. BORR, fantastic rising channel. I really like the way it's looking. The target now is 9. Caladatus Therapeutics, inverse head and shoulder breakaway, and now wedge. Looks awfully good. 28 is my target, and then 31 too. SECO, breaks out of an inverse head and shoulders, runs up in wedges, and then rising in a channel. Current wedge again, but it might be head and shoulders. You gotta be careful. I want to stop this one under 12 and a quarter roughly. If you get above 14, maybe you can see this go back to 16 and 18. CERT, I love this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 way move and consolidating on the resistance. Should you get out above that though, you might have a target at 30. Just keep an eye on this one, looks intriguing. And CGNT's a tech trader swing. It broke out, we put a swing on it. It made a rally high on Friday at 454, but backed off to 4 and a quarter. Nevertheless, I'd like to see it set up a consolidation or retest, but the target now is 5.5 and then 6.5. CLSK, a tech trader swing as well, broke out here, pulled back and wedged. I think it was stopped, but now you can look at the move last week. Bitcoin related, 238 to 455, nearly doubling in a week. There's resistance at 4 3/4, 90. I'm looking at 6.5 3/4. Look for a potential pullback, retest, entry opportunity. CNSP, all I can tell you is it went up 380% one day, and it was up more than that during the day. Something to see if there's a follow through. 60 million shares. Cocovita, the coconut water company. What a nice channel. Pop, consolidate, breakout, retest, run up, breakout, channeling. Really nice chart. Cody. Between Elf and Cody, these two stocks have been monsters in the last 6-7 months. Cody going from 6 to 12.5. And ELF, the monster in the midway. How about this one? May of last year, 21 to 90. Powerful move. Can Cody go further? I think so, 15 target. CRBP, I like the spike, pullback retest of that level, and then break out again. Next target, 12 3/4. CRSP popped on Thursday. I put a swing on it. No follow through yet, but I'm looking for 58 and 64.5. Dole, the food company, broke out as a rising channel. It's at resistance. Your next target is 14. Then 15 3/4. EDIT popped Thursday. I put a swing on it. I believe that the down channel was broken. Line was pretty heavy. No follow through here as well. But my target remains 8 3/4, 9.5, and then possibly intermediately 11.5 3/4. EGO, junior gold. What a powerful looking chart that is. 5 12 nearly. My target's 13, but there's big resistance there as well. Gold maybe need to pull back and consolidate. Bad day Friday for most of them. EHTH, tech trader swing from January in the 5 range. It went up and doubled to 10. It's consolidating now for about 7 or 8 weeks. Let's see if we can get up to 10 1/4. If so, target's 12.5 and 15. NVX, multiple waves down, but we have a crossover with moving averages and a breakout. The run up to resistance, there's a gap there. Should we get out of that wedge? I'm looking for 18, 19. EOSE, long downtrend. Wedge, breakout, retest, and run up to resistance. It backed off of that level, but you can see if we get through 3.5, it's probably 4 3/4, 5. In the Bitcoin cryptocurrency area, Grayscale Ethereum Trust, V bottom with a coil platform and a breakout right to resistance. So it needs to get to 1130 zone, and then you're talking 15 and 18. ETNB, one of my top 20 for the year. And you can see that beautiful chart continues to look higher. I'll look up at 20, 22, etc. In the silver sector, EXK is my favorite during the silver period. Breaks out of a base, runs up, targeting, I think we looked at this earlier. EYEN, long downtrend, reversed, platform, held moving average, ran up and broke out. It's at the top of the channel, so this is a 1, 2, 3. You may need a wave 4, but I'm looking for 6. For solar, wow. Breakaway gap and a rising channel all year since last August, and it's now flagging yet again. The target is 245, folks. GANX, after a long downtrend, this biotech had a V bottom with a long platform coil. Breakout, flag, pop, flag. Next target is 6.5. Mexican silver stock, GATO, breaks out and it's in a rising pattern. Targets are 9.25 and 13. The GBTC Bitcoin, Grayscale Bitcoin, broke out, coiled, held a moving average, broke out, coiled again, broke out, flagging. Now looking for 20 and 24. GDX in the gold sector, we may not have shown you gold and silver, but the GDX is now overbought at the top of the channel. GE, folks, you got to pay attention to a major company like General Electric that goes from 48 to nearly 100, doubled. The high was 97.87, so an exact double. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways maybe, but the extension says 110 is doable. GNLX, IPO, I believe, in January. And it ripped from 5.5, 3/4, it exploded to 39 before pulling back hard. Did a fib retracement, bounced, and now it's flagging. If it breaks this flag, 40, 45 may be doable. HEAR breaks out of a beautiful base with a triple bottom, and then runs up near resistance. Next target, 14.75. HIMS, nice pattern for base, breaks out right through there, flags and runs, wedging them. Target 15.16. HLIT, falling wedge pops with a breakaway move, holds the moving averages which cross over, and now attacking with the engulfing reversal day on Friday. I think we're going to 17 on this one. Harrow, one of my top picks for the year, been phenomenal since. Hold on a minute. Yeah, Harrow's been phenomenal since May. It's been running up beautifully with a target of 30 now. 30. IFRX explodes, pulls back hard. I have a swing on it. It may be a little deeper than I wanted to see. I'm waiting to see if it gets back over 5 with energy. Then you may be seeing 6.5, 7.75, 9.5, etc. IHS, look at this little chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But now the bullish ascending wedge right there. If it breaks out of this little puppy, I'm looking for 10, 11.5, and 13. IMMR breaks out of a base, pulls back in a wedge, and pops. Finally broke out again, and now backed up. But targeting 9.75 and 11. IMVT, one of my top picks of the year, backed off in January like most of the biotechs, and it's now an orderly pullback. However, it's on support, and it needs to hold right around 14 where it is. INOD exploded in February, ran up to resistance and backed off, but look at the come on here. Nice angle of ascent. Next target is a retest up in 9 range and then up to 11. Intel broke out of a triple bottom base, has now got a flag. As far as I'm concerned, that's an opportunity. Targeting 35, 38, 42, 44. INTT breaks out of a base and just keeps going. Beautiful rising channel. It looks like it's consolidating. It should have taken out 21.5. My target's 26.7. INZY, mini move. How about a low in January of $1 range? 6-fold increase to 620. And now a wedge. Next target 7.5. IONQ breaks out of its quadruple top. It detects rate of swing, forming a wedge. I like it. Target 8.5, 3/4, and 11. IoT breaks out and runs up sharply and falling wedge. Now forming a nice consolidation That indicates a retest of 21 and take out of that should yield 25 or better. ISEE, tech trader swing breaks out of a coil and runs up and tagged my first target near 30. 29.88 was the high. Next target is 34.40. KC breaks out of a base with a big move, and now it's pulling back and flowing wedge. Let's see if it holds here. Support is 7.35. The target is 10.5, 11, and then 13. In the Chinese automotive sector, electric vehicle manufacturer LI needs to show me a pop above 25.5 to get it going. If so, target 28.32. Limbach Holdings, I just wanted to show you this chart. It's just a beauty. 5 to 18, still going, target 22.24. Lucy exploded last Tuesday and has been backing and filling ever since. Don't know how much more it has, but pay attention to support right now at about 3.5. Resistance and target is 5, 5.5, and 6.5, 7. In the Bitcoin rail, Mara is running. It broke out. Your target 15. MAXN in the solar group with a rising wedge looks like it could go and be powerful above 30. You might see 33, 35. NBLY with a big 1, 2, 3, 4. Watch this one for a pop over 44.75. Then I'm looking for 50 and 60. MRNS, after coming off the low in December, near 3.5, it ran up and more than doubled to 750. Now it's been consolidating for 2 months, but it's at resistance here. Thursday, it tried to pop out again to 760. The measure move says it's a $10, $11 stock. Enable breaks out of a base, forms a wedge, pops again, and forms another wedge. Target 14.5 and 16. NEO 1, 2, 3, and wave 4, but it's got a little pattern that is negatory for me. Maintain stops on the 14.5, looking for a snapback to 17 and 19. IR with a big explosive move on Friday, jumping 75% on 7.3 million post IPO all-time high. If it does extend, 8.75 and 10 are targets. Same with Noggin. I'm not clear on what to do with this one, but I had a big day Friday, jumping 28%. Maybe we get a follow through. Targets are 4 and 5.75 if that occurs. And our IX exploded for 2 days, Thursday, Friday, taking it from under 9 to 12.62. Your targets 13.30 and 15. OCUP in a beautiful rising channel, comes out of a coil, explodes, and now it's consolidating. It is near the top of the channel, but it might accelerate. And if so, your target is 6.75. OI in a nice 2-month consolidation, that tells me if it does go, it feels like it wants to. Right near the apex. 25 and 30 are targets. ONON pop, we put a swing on it. It's worked its way higher and then pulled back, but Friday was a really bullish day for it. However, you've got to take out 33, 3.25 for it to go, 36, and 40 would be extension targets. OPRA in a beautiful rising channel from 4 to 11, but it doesn't look done, and my target's 13.5, 3/4. ORIC pop, falling wedge breakout. Looks like a retest at an order of 6.75, 7, and then 8. Pan American Silver, one of the leading silver stocks, did not have a good day Friday as it dropped back 4%, but you can see the nice rising pattern off the bottom. It is at resistance and it is at the gap in here too. Next target, however, is 22 and 24. PACB, well, with all of these spike, pop, you can see that the move recently above the moving average is a crossover with a wedge forming. Could be a precursor to a move above 12.5, 3/4, which would swing you into the mid-teens. PDFS, strong rising channel. Nice pattern. Long-term channel top is near here, though. Be careful up here. However, anything above 43, it could accelerate. PDSB looked phenomenal by the end of December as it ran from 2.75 to 13.5, and then had a long downtrend, bringing it all the way back down to the 5 range, recently snapping back to 7. The key is going to be, it's that moving average. Can you get to 7.75, 8, and you look at it, 10 and 12 again. Perion, one of my favorites. Look at this long-term chart. Looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5's underway, but it could extend quite a bit. Next target is 45. PPSI breaks out of a base and goes vertical. For the last couple of weeks, it's gone from 2.5 to nearly 5, double. But there's resistance here, so it may need to back off. If it continues, you might see 6 or 7. PTPI, explosive move on Friday. This biotech stock literally went from 148 to 852 in a day and put all the way back to 4 to finish up 3 or 300%. Nevertheless, big pullback like that, always be careful. But it has momentum. This may very well come back up 6 or 7. RCEL breaks out of a base, forms a little flag, and then explodes with a breakaway gap, forms another one, and then it's basically looking like a 1, 2, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm not sure. This is the target 16 right here. How much more it has, but certainly momentum could carry this to 1820. Remedy Global, beautiful base breakout, and it's still running. Extension target 21.5. 19 and 21.5. Riot broke out of a base here. Consolidated, broke out again, and run up to my target. There, 14. Friday's high, 14.21. Next target is 21, but it may take some doing. Rambus, look at this chart. In 4 years, it's gone from 7.5 to 50, 7-fold. And it's overbought here. But the short-term pattern is very bullish. It may have momentum enough to extend. ROIV, a top 20 pick, has been drifting and looking kind of dire. Friday was not a good day for it. Anytime you're down 7.5% in one day, you got to be careful. And the key is to stop at 6.5. But your targets are 8, 9, and 11. Red Robin Gourmet in this restaurant chain broke out there after reversing there. It's a 1, 2, and this looks like a 3. We may get a 4 and a 5, which would take us into the high teens. SAI exploded Thursday and Friday, another artificial intelligence stock. How about a move from $1 to 740? Well, we're at resistance up there and the back all the way up to 4. So I don't know what to do with this. We'll find out on Monday. Sana in the biotech sector, and stock dropped it from the 40s to 3. Big spike in the last 4 days. It's taken it from 3.25 to 540. And closing there, and we may see it follow through. Target is 630 right now. SCLX exploded, broke out, and now it's wedging. I like to look at that. I think we went over that earlier. SCYX, look at Synexis. $1.15, folks. The 384. About 2 weeks. Now this pullback, retest, consolidation on low volume. Could be a setup. Stay tuned. Keep an eye on it. SERA, breakaway gap, sharp run up, and pullback flag. I like the look of it. Overall, the stock would be 5, 6, or 7. Sigma Lithium, right up against it. Highest close in its history at 40. That was up $1.45 on Friday. The next target is 45.6. Another lithium stock, Standard Lithium, not as strong, but coming out apparently closing above resistance at the decline top line and above 50-day moving average too. Your next target would be the multiple tops at 5. SMCI, what a great looking chart. And stair steps higher. 135, 150 are targets. SOUN popped through the decline top line and moving averages is sitting there consolidating above the moving averages in a wedge. Keep an eye on 335, then your target's 4.5, 3/4. Sovo in the food sector breaks out of a long, year-long coil, and it continues to run from 12 and change to 18 and change. Target would be 20 plus. SQSP breaks out of a base, pulls back to test, and then runs. The momentum target is 36. STNE, South American software stock, which came way off from the 90s down into the single digits. Now it's formed the base over the last year. It could be setting up for a nice move. Your target's 15. SYM, multiple waves up to a new all-time high on Friday. Over 30 from a November low, under 9. So more than a triple and a little extended. TBIO coming out of a base, now wedging in here. Should we get to the double top around 330? The target's 4 3/4, 4.5 3/4. Thread up, they text create a swing, pop, pull back, pop, start to pop again. We put a swing on it. and then needed to consolidate a little longer, but here's the breakout on Friday. It was up every day last week, and now I'm targeting 3 3/4 and 5. TERN, one of my top picks of the year, certainly looks like it. Look at that trend. Recently consolidating the zone. My targets are 14 3/4 and 17. Technical Glass also a tech traded swing from back here in November. It's been moving up from the mid-20s to the mid-40s. My target now 50. TGTX popped last week and then pulled back, but it looks terrific for a longer-term move. 35 target. UMC inverse head and shoulder breakout and pullback, and then another run, but a pullback again. Still looking for 9.5 3/4. In the oil sector, Vista Oil and Gas, what a move. 5 and change to 23 or 22 3/4. And it's closing right there. My follow-through target is 28. Viking, fantastic move, and still moving. Rising flag, a new high Friday, 19 3/4. I think a stock makes it to the mid-20s. 24.5 target. America, nice right falling wedge. Keep an eye on it because I think if it does break out, it's got to move back towards 8.5 and then 11. BRNA, one of my top picks of the year. 1, 2, 3, 4, trying to emerge. Your targets are 27 and 35. Wheat and precious metals, the biggest silver purveyor, up near resistance, may get a pullback, but keep an eye on this one. WVE, also a top 20 pick for the year, came down with most of the biotechs in the first quarter, but this thing's bouncing. Take a look at this one above 479.80, then you're looking at 5 3/4, 6, and 7. Weight Watchers, a tech traded swing after it popped and pulled back, has moved from 5 3/4 where I gave it to you to 7.95. My target now remains 9 and 11, or 9 and 10 3/4. XPOF, beautiful rising channel. I think it continues. 33, 37 targets. ZETA, nice orderly rising channel. Resistance 11 1/4, target 13 and 16. And finally, ZXI came down hard, broke its trend line, but the rally right back up, so we put a new swing on it. Needs to get over 1240 to 45 to get it going. My targets then are going to be 14 and 17. And let's look at the long. We have some shorts to go over. We can finish up. In the oil sector, oils have really come back nicely, but are they shorts here? Well, look at this resistance that it failed here. This trend line that I broke with a breakaway gap broke out, and the moving areas are broken out. So this is now bullish, and I would be careful on this one. VILL, on the other hand, terrible chart. Long-term move, bear flag, lower lows coming, 62 and 52 are targets. CF with a 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a rising bear wedgie. If it fails here and rolls over, 62.3 is your target. CI, similar pattern. Long downtrend underway. My target is 240, 220. Clearfield broke down here on the bear coil. We pointed that out. It's 60. It's something we dropped to 43, and now it's flagging again. This could be a $35 stock. CPRI breaks down, forms a bear coil, and many of these are tech trader swing shorts. Comes down again, forms a bear flag. Your stop's over 48. Your target's 38. DDS breaks down hard and forms a bear wedge, and then breaks down again, forms a bear flag. I think one more leg's coming. 260, 63 is your target. Dyno in the oil sector, not as strong as some of the other oils, and certainly not bouncing much. If oil goes lower, this is a $40 and then $36 stock, in my opinion. Devon Energy, much stronger, much like APA, would be a stop over 56.7, but if it fails and rolls over again, you might see a retest of the lows. Fluor came down hard and bounced, but it hasn't gotten through resistance. If that's the bear flag and it takes out 28, this stock could fall away into mid to low 20s. Keys came down hard, the breakaway gap, and formed a large bear coil. Don't know what to say other than it looks like it could be 145 and now 130. NFE, in a nasty little downtrend, has already pulled back from 57 to 25.6, and now it's formed another bear flag. So it looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth wave down is 21.22. Overstock continues to be in my list. It has been for a year, and it's dropped from the 50s into the teens. Continues to look lower. Target 14. PBH came down, broke down from the bear wedge. We've put a short on it and then tested the low, but bounced at resistance here. It was down on Friday, but it needs to start to fall away or it could be covered over 64.5. Plexus came down hard and bounced, formed a wedge. It retested the low but held, and so now it's forming a large bear flag. Unless it breaks out above here, a rollover could take it to 86.77. ROSD, a declining channel. We don't want it above there, but any further downside, 99 and 89 are targets. Two cows, just an ugly chart, continues to look lower. This bear flag broke and it bounced. It bounced off support. It probably should recover that. Its stock has gone from 85 down to 16. But we'll see. Tech target forming yet another bear flag. Oh, well, what a disaster this has been. 110 down to 30 some odd. It looks lower. My target is 31. Unum broke down and formed a bear flag. Simple as that. This insurance company looks lower. My target is 32.3. Vicor also broke down and formed a bear coil. Next target, 32.3. VIR broke down. It's forming a bear flag. Break down from here and you look at something in the high teens, low 20s. ETLE, formerly Laredo Petroleum, tech trader swing short, worked out well as it dropped down from the high 50s into the high 30s, and now it's bounced back. Again, much like several oils, they run back to resistance. Will they hold, break out, or what? Well, folks, that's it. I'll look at the technicals for the weekend review. Weekend webinar says this is a interesting market at resistance. A breakout here, we can go vertical. A breakdown, we can get a retest. Going to be interesting to see the first couple of days of next week what occurs. But as you know, we trade what we see, not what we think. This is HB. Wishing you a wonderful rest of your weekend. I'll talk to you on Monday. Take it easy, everybody.